Alright guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another little out and about video. Today I'm in Bežigrad in Ljubljana, the Slovenian capital, and we are going to check out Pivovarna Tektonik's Brewpub. So you can see that with the mad little face just behind me. So we'll do as we always do, we'll go in, we'll have a little look around, we'll have a look at the beers, and yeah, we're going to get a little bit of a brewery tour apparently, so this should be quite cool. It's a little bit rainy outside, so yeah, this is just how it goes sometimes when you're doing out and about videos. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this one. The Tektonik Brewpub here in Bežigrad in Ljubljana in Slovenia. Let's get started. So yeah guys, this is it here, the outside of the Tektonik Brewpub. It's kind of in quite a random place. It's just sort of in the basement of a kind of large building just round here on this side. If you just go round to the right here, it's actually the biggest media company in Slovenia's headquarters just round there. But yeah, so the brewery was founded in 2014. They released their first beers in 2015, and the pub itself has been open since June of last year, 2021. But this little mad face symbol up here, that is the symbol of Tektonik. But yeah, let's go in and we'll have a little look and see what we have here. Yeah, I'll just let you have a little look at the opening hours here as well. So yeah, there you go. This is when you can come to Tektonik. Entrance, it's just round here. Today they're having a tap takeover with Dry and Bitter, who are from Copenhagen, very close to me. But when you come in, you've got this nice little area here. So it's kind of interesting. I do like being greeted by this thing. This is properly crazy. Love it. But yeah, when you come through here, you'll see the bar. The guys are working behind. You've got this nice kind of leather seated area as well. And yeah, this is the bar. And then through there, you have the actual brewery itself. So yeah, this is it. Pretty awesome. Let's take a little look at the tap list then. So yeah guys, this is the tap list that they have tonight. So it's only 4 of their own beers today because Dry and Bitter are visiting, but still cool to come and check out the bar and try some of their beers. So yeah, you can see they have their Czech Pilsner, they have the Pale Ale, the Torpedo, the Tektonik normal Pale Ale, and then they also have Goza as well actually. So yeah, not sure how well this is going to show up with the camera, but yeah, let's continue on. So as you can see here, lovely neon lights, a little look down the bar again. But yeah, if you come through here, and be careful of this by the way, because it's there's a big mirror. But yeah, here you can see Jobby Balls, my cousin, and we have a special guest. It's Davor, the Slovenian beer mule. Davor is going to join us for a beer tasting in a second. So let's do it. Are you ready? Ready. All right, guys. Well, we're here at Pivovarna Tektonik in Ljubljana, and as you saw a second ago, we have Davor. So Davor is the OG beer mule for the channel, the Slovenian beer mule. How long have you been following? Like,
I think it's probably 6-7 years.
6-7 years. So
because,
yeah.
The story goes, I spotted you first time when you were reviewing the pellet song.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the
Third pill.
Yeah, third pill, the core IPA, and I was saying to myself, damn, how did you get that beer? So
yeah,
that was the
exactly. Yeah. So Davor after this started saying, I'm going to send you some Slovenian beers, and Davor is responsible for
most of them.
Yeah, like 90% of the Slovenian stuff that you see on the channel pretty much. So yeah, really cool. I mean, it's always nice to support the beer scene in another country. You know, Slovenia is famous for its wine normally, but I think there's a bit of a rule, kind of an unwritten rule, that when it comes to countries that are good at wine, when they try beer, it tends to go pretty well. But yeah, Davor's going to join in with the first tasting for us, and maybe some others later. We'll see what we can convince him to do. But yeah, so the first beer, Davor, can you introduce this one?
Yeah, the first beer is Czech Pilsner. Call it Czech Pilsner. So it's Slovenian pronunciation. It's 5.1% ABV. 30 IBUs and hopped only with SARS.
Ah, nice. Okay. So yeah.
So we have like a really nice pale golden, crystal clear
Yeah.
color.
Yeah, lovely. Not too, little bit of visible carbonation, not too much. Yeah.
Slowly rising carbonation.
Yeah. And I think when it poured, it had about a finger ahead. That's when I saw it. Yeah.
But the head sticks nice to the glass. It's actually good lacing.
Yeah. It does look very, very nice, and pretty much exactly as you would expect for a Pilsner, be it German or Czech or whatever, to be honest with you. But it was 5.1% ABV, and what's it? You've got its Untappd rating there. It's
Average rating is quite poor, 3.35.
yeah,
But as you say a lot of times, it's take it with a pinch of salt, because most of the people are trying to like crazy beers like theirs, and they are not enjoying traditional or
classic beers. Exactly. Yeah.
and rate them higher.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, you have to remember, lager beers in Slovenia, Croatia. These countries used to be part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, so the German and Austrian brewing influences come here. So many of the little brew pubs that you get here will actually give you very nice examples of different German and Austrian style beers. I mean, you saw in some of the out and about videos in Croatia, we had the Vienna lager was beautiful. We had some really, really nice Vienna lagers actually from two breweries in Rijeka, that's it. Rijeka. So we had two very nice ones.
Local breweries?
Flumen and King's Brewpub actually. They both had very nice Vienna lagers. So anyway, Davor and I both enjoy a good Czech Pilsner, needless to say.
Or like a really good brewed lager, like a German Helles or Dunkelbock, Doppelbock, that kind of stuff. Also, I'm also keen to try smoked beers, so...
Exactly, I mean, you guys that watch the channel regularly will know this. I think that it's been nice to see a number of breweries in Scandinavia have been starting to brew lager beers and doing very well with it.
Also smoked beers.
Exactly. I think these styles are massively underappreciated. It's the haze craze, it's the IPA craze, and I think these are underappreciated.
And pastry craze, haze craze.
Yeah, that's it. But anyway, we should aroma. Yeah.
Let's dive in.
Oh yeah. For me, this is interesting because it actually, if I was smelling this blind, I think I would pick up that it's a Pilsner. Yeah. But honestly, I actually think I would guess this is German because of how crisp it is.
Yeah.
I always found German Pilsners are more crisp than Czech Pilsens because the Czech ones I always find are more yeasty and bready. So this is interesting.
For me personally, also if you look at the style, Czech Pilsner is more malt driven. You have nice malty sweetness, like that honey floral essences combined with gentle herbal spiciness from noble hops. Yeah,
exactly. I think it's a lot of the Czech ones are unfiltered as well, and they are a bit more yeasty, I think, too. I think that's fair to say.
Probably this sample is probably too cold to burst with aromas, but
yeah, it's still a very, very nice smelling beer. I mean, for me, it's got everything you'd expect. You've got a little bit of bread crust, I think, but for me, like a little bit of soft white bread, but you can absolutely smell that kind of nice crisp Pilsner malt base. That fluffy but crisp white bread.
That sweetness.
And like I don't. You probably in Slovenia you probably don't get it, but McVitie's digestive biscuit.
I know what you mean. It's like a plain biscuit with some sweetness.
Yeah, it's like that sweet biscuity sort of thing. So that's what I mean. It's a very straightforward malt base. A little bit of bread crust, a little bit of bread, that biscuity.
A bit floury, a bit honey. Then on the hops, I would say it's gentle. It doesn't come so true.
Exactly. I mean, this one for me, it leans towards the grassy side of things on the hoppy component of the beer.
grass and a bit of herbs.
Yeah. But in fairness, I think you can get the thing that's distinctive about Czech sats or žatec, whatever you want to call them. These are always a little bit spicier than the Hallertaus or the Tettnangers, and you can smell that too. Fruity wise, I think
not much. It's quite clean. I don't get any apples. Also no butter.
I get a little bit.
Density.
I get a little bit of a kind of peary, like a little bit of that peary note out of it almost. Dry pear. Yeah. I get a little bit of that out of it. I find that always interesting with these lager beers, and it's only fairly recently from memory that it's come up. I always find you get a little bit of a peary, sometimes gooseberry thing out of these beers. You get a little bit of that oily fruit.
Also dry apple slices. You can get like dry apple slices or like green apple. If it's a green apple, it's sometimes a fault.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that's everything we need to say about the aroma, isn't it? Okay, let's crack into this one. So yeah, really cool to have Davor join us for a tasting on the channel finally. This is 5.1% Tektonik's Pilsner, the name.
Czechur Český Pilsner.
Czechur Český Pilsner. So na zdravie.
Na zdravie.
Na zdravie. There we
Cheers.
go. Cheers.
Sláinte.
Skål. Yeah.
Skål. Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah,
very crisp, refreshing.
It's interesting this for me because the Tektonik. I think I reviewed two Tektonik beers, a black IPA and a New England or a West Coast. I'm pretty sure you sent me a black IPA.
Probably, but
yeah. Because the thing I always remember about the Tektonik beers was my memory of them is that they were a bit raw. They were big and bready and kind of yeasty. This is like the complete opposite. This is like a really clean, very very fresh beer. This is very nice, and I think this one builds a lot of sweetness and breadiness into the aftertaste.
Much more on the taste as on the aroma.
Yeah, yeah. This is lovely. Actually.
Aroma is actually subtle, but taste is really really good.
Yeah. This one, I will say this. Been having a lot of lager beers recently in Germany and so on, and Croatia. That's got one of the nicest. I really like the aftertaste on this. The aftertaste this leaves you with, I think, is one of the nicest ones I've come across in recent times.
It's nicely dry, and then you have that citrusy component, a bit of zest, and also a bit of that hop oils like resins, a touch of resins.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's nice. So yeah, like malty side of the beer. We start. You get a little bit of bread crusty dryness in there. The backbone. On top of that, I think then you get, it's definitely white bread, like fresh white bread.
And a bit of toasted bread.
That
Sweetness.
Yeah, definitely.
And honey, definitely honey.
Oh yeah. I mean, toward the back of the mouth, it's a bit more like bread crust. It's a bit more kind of grainy and bread crusty. And like Dab was saying, when you come further forward, you get that. You get a bit of the honey right in the middle of your palate, then like biscuit toward the edges of it. So it's nice. Yeah, it gives you everything you'd want from a Pilsner. This, and you get that bit of Pilsner malty dryness in there toward the back as well. You get that nice Pilsner malt crispness, which is good. But like I say, this is very different from my memory of Tektonik. Those big kind of yeasty, quite raw beers that we had. When was that? 2016 or something?
Probably 2017, 18.
Yeah, 2017, 2018, like that black IPA, and I can't even remember if that was a New England or a West Coast, but it was a big. It was a big yeasty. These two beers were like big yeasty sort of raw, unfiltered things. They were very nice, but this is the complete opposite of what I remember.
It's also different style.
Yeah, but completely different style. Obviously, that goes without saying. Hoppy side of things. So. For me, like
zesty.
Oh yeah.
Zesty.
Yeah, front of the
zesty.
Yeah, front of the palate, I think. Yeah, grassy, zesty. Yeah.
Zesty, like citrus zest, lemon balm. I get a touch of lemon balm if you're familiar with that. Also, a bit of resins, but more on the back.
Oh yeah. So yeah, for me, you get the grassy zestiness at the front of the palate, and then round the back. Yeah, like you go down the sides. I think that's when you get the floral and the kind of resiny notes. And there's a little. I think there's a wee bit of earthiness at the back too.
I don't think that, but mainly that component that I mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. It's really nice. It goes together really well.
And most important, it's very drinkable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For 5.1, you cannot taste any alcohol. But it's light-bodied.
Yeah.
But a lot of flavor.
Yeah, absolutely. Very clean. You could tan this. You could easily just tan this beer. For those of you watching that aren't Scottish, tan just means go for it. Chug, yeah, chug it. Yes. So fruit. What do you think about the fruity side of the flavour?
Fruity side, I get many citruses, like lemon zest, lemon pit, a touch of lemon balm, and that's it for me. A bit floral. Yeah. I'm not getting any apples or pears. It's quite clean. It's really clean.
Okay, nice, cool. I mean, I get a little bit of a peary note on the front of the palate. I get a little bit of that, and it has that zesty thing right behind the front tip of the tongue too. But for me, it has got a little bit of an oily fruitiness. But I think that most Pilsner beers have that. But yeah, I think we can round off with mouthfeel then. But we've kind of said a little bit about that anyway. But for me, light-bodied,
really crisp, really clean.
Crisp, clean, oily.
A bit oily and also dry. There is a lot of dryness at the back end that gives you a signal, another sip.
Yeah, exactly. We know that it's 30 IBUs because it's said on Untappd, so this is a 30 IBU Pilsner. That's the same as Pilsner Urquell, which is the benchmark, can we say. So yeah, we know it's 30 IBUs. Like we said, malt base I think is smooth, crisp, and a bit sweet. Yeah, and we've said about the fruitiness too. For me, it's just a little bit wet and oily. Yeah, I think that's it.
It's quite, if you draw a line, it's quite similar to German Helles, actually, because it's nice to balance between malts and hops. It's quite similar. Sometimes it's quite hard to distinguish. If I was giving this beer blind, I would.
This is like I said earlier. If I tasted it blind, I would think this was a German Pils, and because of the maltiness and the breadiness you get out of this, I can see exactly why they were saying Helles. So yeah, that's that.
But bitterness, it's the key role here because it's higher if we compare to Helles.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a nice place to round off on that one. So yeah guys, that's beer tasting number 1. We'll see what else Davor wants to join in with. But we've got another couple of beers that we can look at, but we're going to go for a wee look at the brewery itself, I think now. So
really excited about
that. This will be pretty cool. So let's go and do that. But this was can you say the name again?
Čehur Český Pilsner.
Čehur Český Pilsner, 5.1% ABV. Our first beer here at Pivovarna, Tektonik's Brewpub in Ljubljana. So yeah, let's crack on. See you guys in a second. Na zdravie. Cheers. Right guys, so we just had an awesome little tour of the brewery from Natasha, who is going to join us for a tasting a little bit later on in the video. But she said I could film around the brewery and just let you see. So first off, when you come in, you're going to see these big monster 6,000 litre tanks. These are pretty impressive. But when you come down here, you'll see the main brew kit. So this is a 2,000 litre brew kit, which is pretty cool. So when they brew beers to go in these 6,000 litre tanks, apparently they start at like 8 in the morning, and then they have to cook up 3 batches of wort, and then they don't finish the brew until about 2 AM or something like that. It's kind of crazy actually. But round here they have a very small pilot brewery. This is pretty nice. You can see, I think this is a 100 litre pilot brewery that they have here. And when you turn around here, they have their lagering tanks. So you've already seen me review the Čehur. So this beer is made using traditional methods. So it sits in this tank for 90 days to mature before it actually comes out and you get to drink it. So that is very, very cool. One of the first things as well that they did in the brewery here was this beautiful artwork, obviously very space themed. So over here apparently is the brewmaster's wife. The brewmaster, of course, is Marko Jamnik, and he is just very very into his kind of space and sci-fi and all this. His portrait apparently is over here somewhere, but it's been kind of covered up as they've kind of expanded the brew house and stuff like this. But yeah, beautiful artwork in here, which is very, very cool. So yeah, as you come down here, you can see some of the kegs ready to go out to different pubs and things, and they've also got their little mini 100-litre fermenters down here where the creative magic happens. One thing you'll see with the Tektonik beers is the experimental ones have hashtags. So one of the beers we're going to have a little look at later is hashtag 44. So this is the 44th recipe that they've experimented with. Here you can see all the malt that they've imported from Germany and things, and some of the hops and stuff like this. Looks very, very cool. But yeah, Natasha went through all the different beers and things with me and told me about the names. So yeah, a lot of the names are based on interesting things with Slovenian language. A lot of them are kind of really gimmicky. You know, for example, this one, Normal. Normal, nor means crazy, and mal is like a little bit in Slovenian, so this beer is just like a little bit crazy, the name. And this one here, Murky, the artwork, the idea with the artwork here is that when you buy a cat, the cat kind of owns you rather than the other way around. So a lot of these beers here, the beers that they do at Tektonik, the artwork is pretty cool. This one here, Chehur. Apparently Chehur is like not such a nice word for Balkan people, but it's based on Ben-Hur, and I forget the other part of the name for this one. But yeah, this is what we've been drinking so far. This is what this is the lager that we've been trying, which has been really nice. One of the other things that's quite unique about Tektonik as well is that they have a pasteurizer. So yeah, they're quite unique in Slovenia in this regard, because the main reason that they have this is that a lot of Slovenian drinkers drink, you know, Laško and Union. Those are the two big breweries here, both owned by Heineken, of course. Laško bought Union back in the 90s, and then Heineken bought both of them. So yeah, a lot of people are into these kind of light lager beers. But the problem that little craft breweries like Tektonik have is that when their beers are sold in the supermarkets, they can't so much control the quality of them. So Tektonik have gone for the approach of using a pasteurizer, which is quite interesting, quite unique. I don't think I've seen too many craft breweries that have actually used pasteurizers. Yeah, the other thing to point out about Tektonik would be that they are the most central brewery in Ljubljana. There is Omnivar, which I believe is a little bit in the north. We've had a couple of their beers on the channel. But yeah, I think that's the only other thing. And of course, the old Union brewery is just up the street that way. So yeah, you can see, awesome brew house here. But that's a little kind of walk around of the Tektonik brewery. So yeah, let's go out and do another tasting video. Let's do this. Alright guys, well, we're going to do tasting number 2 now. So this is one of Tektonik's flagship beers, the Normal. It's a pale ale coming in at 5.1% ABV. And yeah, it should be pretty nice. This is one of their flagship beers. Here you can see the malt and hop bill. So yeah, we've got it in one of the little sample glasses here. Let's do this. Alright guys, well, let's have a little look at this beer then, the Normal 5.1% pale ale. So, as you can see, this beer has poured a lovely pale golden straw colour. When it came out the tap, it had about a finger of a frothy, I would say kind of cream coloured head. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the bottom of the glass, but otherwise not too much in the way of visible carbonation, but lovely transparent appearance. I do expect this one is going to be a little bit more like a West Coast, and you saw the malt and hop bill on this one a wee while ago. Natasha very kindly gave me a bottle to show on the video as well. So yeah, the malt base in this one is pale ale, Vienna and carapils. So yeah, you wouldn't expect any haziness out of that, of course. But yeah, let's take a look at the aroma and see how we get on. Yeah, old school, classic West Coast pale ale, this one, straight away. So the backbone of the beer, lovely little bit of a kind of bread crusty note. absolutely a mix of sort of wholemeal brown bread, white bread, and then on top of that you have some lovely kind of caramelly notes. Yeah, a little bit of caramel, a little bit of McVitie's digestive biscuit. Yeah, the malty base of this one is very nice. One or two little woody and crackery notes in there as well. But like I say, bread crust, brown bread, white bread, a little bit of kind of cracker and woody note. Then yeah, a wee bit of a kind of slightly boozy caramel, as you would expect from the West Coast IPA, but also a little bit of that kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. But yeah, it goes together really quite nicely. Yeah, on the hoppy side of things, I would say the green component for me is a little bit earthy. You get a good little bit of that kind of floral aromatic sort of thing. There's definitely a little bit of a kind of deeper piney raisin sort of thing to this. So I would think that comes mainly from the Bravo and the Cascade. Remember, this by the looks of it is going to be a West Coast type pale ale, so that means there's a lot of early addition hopping. That means the hopping gives you a bit more bitterness. But yeah, late addition hopping will give you a little bit of bitterness, but mainly flavour and aroma, and then dry hopping gives you pretty much all flavour and aroma. So yeah, you have got quite a nice deep green component to this one. But yeah, absolutely, a little bit of earthiness in there, nice little bit of floral aromaticity, and you also have just that little bit of kind of fresh, zesty grassiness as well. Lovely smelling beer, I have to say, on that side of things. On the fruity side of the beer, a little bit of oily passion fruit, a bit of mango for me as well, and you have that sort of figgy note from the Cascade. Cascade for me is a very, very distinctive hop in terms of its kind of flavour and aroma profile. You get that lovely little bit of figgy note, a wee bit of the grapefruit, and yeah, it smells really, really nice, this beer. I do like how it goes together. So yeah, as I always say, take a bit of time and enjoy the aroma, but let's get stuck into this one and see how we go. So yeah, this is the Normal, a little bit crazy, as it means in Slovenian, 5.1% West Coast Pale Ale here at Tektonik. Slanja, skål, cheers, na zdravje. Yeah, really solid beer, this one. You know, when you have a pale ale, a really well done pale ale can just be very, very nice and easy to drink. This beer has that, absolutely has that characteristic to it. Just does everything you expect of the style, gives you all the different flavour components, and it's really just nicely done. So thumbs up for the Normal from me. Yeah, as I say, once again, this is first impressions. It's a very kind of clean, fresh beer, which is, as I say, compared to the other Tektoniks that I had, which were really kind of raw and yeasty and things like this. This is quite different. But let's break it down and describe the flavour a wee bit more in depth, as we always do. So, yeah, backbone of this beer then, middle and back third of the palate, absolutely a little bit of bread crust in there, some smooth brown bready notes. On top of that, a little bit of a white bready note, white bready character. And then in the middle third of your palate, you start to get that, you get a little bit of the kind of boozy caramelly note right in the dead centre of your palate, then out toward the edge of your palate, you're getting the more biscuity McVitie's digestive kind of characteristics out of it. It's really, really nice. I like how this goes together. Absolutely. Lovely tasting beer, this one, from the malty side of things. It gives you everything you would want from an old school West Coast Pale Ale. Now on the hoppy side of things then, so hoppy side of the beer, for me, the green component really leans towards that floral aromatic side of things, as you would expect for a West Coast Pale Ale. But yeah, for me, at the back corners of the palate, there's a bit of earthiness. As you move further forward, you get that deep, slightly piney resinous sort of thing coming out of it. Some floral aromatic spice, of course, that's going to come from the Cascade and the Bravo. Then round the front curve of the tongue, we've got a little bit of a lighter sort of grassy note to it. It has a wee bit of zesty character as well. So yeah, I really like how that pieces together. in this this particular beer. Green point is nice. Let's look at the fruity side of things. Yeah, so fruity side of the beer for me is kind of what I'd expect from Cascade, Simcoe and Bravo. So at the back of that front third of your palate, a wee bit of grapefruit sort of things. As you move further forward, you get a bit more of that oily passion fruit from the Simcoe. And as you move into the front half of the front third of your palate, you get that lighter, slightly more figgy character from the Cascade in this one. So yeah, I like how that pieces together as well. Just behind the front tip of the tongue, there's a wee bit of a kind of more limey kind of note just before you get the kind of grassy esters. But yeah, I really like how this beer goes together. So yeah, the way that this one goes about its business gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah. On the mouthfeel side of things then, to round off our little look at Normal, this beer for me, mid-bodied, probably bottom end of mid-bodied, smooth carbonation, a little bit of a nice kind of oily note to it as well. Yeah, I'd say IBU wise, I think this one is maybe about 50, 60 IBUs, something like that. Gives you a good little bit of bitterness. As I say, a classic old school West Coast pale ale, which is nice to see. It's nice to see something that's not kind of falling in line with the haze craze at the moment, but as I say, I really like it. Yeah, this is good. Malt base is nice and smooth, a little bit crisp, good little bit of sweetness as well. And then, yeah, on the hot, yeah, 50 IBUs, nice little bit of smooth and sweet, slightly crisp malt base. Then you've got that slightly oily, fruity character to this one too. Yeah, I really like how this beer goes together. It has everything I would want from an old school West Coast pale ale. So yeah, this is the Normal, one of their flagship beers here at Tektonik. Cool to try this on tap as well. But let's go on to tasting number 3. See you in a second. Alright guys, so a little closer look at the symbol of Pivovarna Tektonik. So yeah, this is the beer mat you'll get if you come here. So the head brewer, Mac, he used to have a beer blog called Beer Bite. So this symbol here, the teeth basically, was the symbol for that, and when they started brewing, they added the eyes, and that's how you have the little mad face for Pivovarna Tektonik. I think it's pretty cool, I have to say. Alright guys, well, time for beer tasting number 3 then. So, for this one, we are going to go to the hazy side of the spectrum. So, this one is called Torpedo. It comes in at 4.8% ABV, and as you can see, this one is a New England hazy, whatever you want to call it, pale ale. So, when this beer poured, it had somewhere in the region of a finger of a frothy, I would say, kind of perfect white head. Colour-wise, I would say that this one is kind of nice and quite bright yellow, kind of along the lines of a mango juice. I always like comparing these New England hazy beers to different fruit juices. That's just what the appearance reminds me of. But yeah, I have to say, for a 4.8%er, the haze or the opacity on this one is actually quite impressive. I think it looks very, very nice. Yeah, in terms of carbonation, 1 or 2 big bubbles visible at the bottom of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom of the head there. But yeah, overall, it looks pretty much as you would expect from a sort of New England hazy pale ale style. This one is listed as a juicy pale ale, so yeah, I think that's maybe a little bit of a more common term in Slovenia, because these would always be listed as hazy pale ales in either Denmark or Sweden. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything else to say about the appearance of this beer. Let's have a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on. Oh yeah. This smells very, very nice. So I should point out as well, Davor told me that the hops in this one are Citra and El Dorado. These are both hops we know quite well, both American, both around 14% alpha acid. The Citra's going to give you big kind of juicy mango notes, also a little bit of that lemon limey character when it's in a New England IPA. The El Dorado's known for those kind of softer tropical notes, you know, good bit of juicy mango, but at the same time, you know, you get lighter kind of dry apricots, papayas, bit of an oily pineapple as well in my experience. But yeah, when you smell this beer, the the aroma is very, very familiar. I like how it goes together for sure. Yeah. It's on the malty side of things. You get a little bit of that kind of bread crusty character. You know, lovely soft white bread. You can smell. You know, you do get a little bit of wheaty bitiness out of this one in the back of the nose. But the more that you smell of it, it starts to lean towards that slightly softer and smoother oaty character. So it goes together really, really nicely for sure. Malty side of things for me is exactly as you would expect. The other thing I would say about this one is because it's only 4.8%, you don't get such a sweet component out of this beer. And as I say, there's always 6 things you should consider with a New England beer. You know, the yeasty component, the sort of rye leaning grainy component. These two are a little bit more prominent in American brewed hazy IPAs, but then you've got wheaty bitiness, oaty creaminess, barley malt bread, and then the sweet side of things. But when you're this low in the alcohol scale, you don't tend to get that much of a sweet component to these beers. Yeah, so for me, yeah, definitely a kind of oaty. I get a lot of wheat out of this one. The back of the nose is quite wheaty and bitey, but at the same time you get a good little bit of oaty smoothness. But because it's so light in alcohol, you get that bit of zippiness to it as well. On the hoppy side of things, the green component, little teeny bit of earthiness, but mainly it's quite a bright floral aromaticity. Remember, New England beers rely mainly on late addition hopping and dry hopping rather than early addition hopping, which is, you know, these are the 3 types of hopping. All 3 are used in West Coast IPAs. The latter 2 are used mainly in New England. So yeah, with this one you get quite a bright green component to it. Good little bit of grassy zestiness as well. I would say the grassy zestiness comes mainly from the citrus side of things because it gives you that lemon limey note. But on the fruity side, the fruity part of the aroma, it's kind of what you would expect if you know these hops. There's a little bit of that kind of pungent passion fruit, big juicy mango qualities, softer apricot, a little bit of a kind of papaya, and a wee bit of a kind of pineapple note. And I'm also getting a bit of that lemon limey sort of thing too. But a lovely smelling beer this. I do like how this one goes about its business aroma wise. Let's have a taste of it then and see how we go. So this one is the Torpedo, a 4.8% New England hazy, juicy pale ale, as they're putting it here at Tektonik. This is beer tasting number 3. Slàinte, skål, cheers, na zdravie. Yeah. Does everything you want from the style. You know, this is one of these beers again. It does exactly what you want. It doesn't do anything surprising, anything unusual, but it's just well crafted. You can't ask for more than that from a pale ale. These beers are designed to be sessionable, they're designed to be drinkable. This beer gives you that, and it gives you the correct flavour profile as well. First impression of it is it's actually a lot more oaty leaning than I thought it was going to be. I thought this one was going to be a little bit more kind of zippy and bitey just from the aroma. But yeah, the oats come out a bit more than I expected. But that's just how it goes sometimes with these beers. Sometimes the flavour matches the aroma very well. Sometimes there are different nuances to them. But yeah, I think it works nicely. So, on the middle of your palate then, let's break this beer down as we always do. Backbone of the middle through your palate, you get that typical crisp bread crusty sort of thing. Then you can feel the kind of the barley malt bread in there, but that's actually quite a thin layer for me. The wheat is quite prominent in this one. You can feel the wheat thickening out and densifying that bready layer to the beer, and then on top of that you get the oats. So if you go down the middle line of your palate, you can feel that the oats are quite creamy, but they get a bit drier out towards the edge of things. I would point out, again, with this being a pale ale, lower in the alcohol scale, it leans more towards that bready side of things. If you were going up to the regular IPA, the double IPA, I would bet that this would have a little bit of that, you know, sweet component, the Werther's Original, and so on. But yeah, this one is quite a bready, wheaty, but still very smooth. Kind of smooth New England IPA. It's a bit more old school. It reminds me of, you know, Amazing Haze, Narangi, these more old school Swedish New England IPAs. It's one of these more kind of bready ones, this one for sure. But yeah, so there's a tiny little hint of biscuit, I think, in the middle third of your palate there. But other than that, I think we've said everything we need to about the middle third of your tongue with this one. Back third of the palate, you definitely get a little bit of a more, you can feel that the yeasty component is in there, you get a few little crackery flavours and stuff, but otherwise it works very well. On the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, you've got a little bit of earthiness there for sure. As you come further forward though, it gets very bright and very floral and aromatic in its hoppy notes, but round the front curve of the tongue, definitely a little bit lighter and a little bit more kind of grassy and things for sure. Green component of this is really nice and it gives the beer that little bit of zip that you need at the low ABV. So, on the fruity side of things then, front third of your palate, you've got that lovely little bit of smooth white bready character there, and a bit of the oatiness too, and on top of that you get that kind of bubble where the fruity juicy esters come out. It's exactly as you'd expect from these hops. Toward the back, a little bit of a stronger passion fruit, lovely juicy mango, then as you move further forward, a little bit of a kind of drier apricot, a wee bit of that kind of more juicy pineapple, then as you reach the front tip of the tongue, just a little teeny bit of lime. That's the Citra giving you that. But yeah, fruity side of this one is really nice and very juicy. On the mouthfeel then, just to round off this tasting, I would say that this beer, it's kind of mid-bodied, it's right in the middle of the spectrum. Carbonation is very smooth. This beer does have a good degree of that creaminess to it. It's actually quite thick, I think, for a 4.8%, so that's quite impressive. IBU wise, I think this is a sort of standard, 25-ish IBU New England Pale Ale, nothing wrong with that, but it does have a very bright green component as we've said. The malty side of things, as we said, is very, very smooth. It leans towards that kind of bready, old school bready side of the New England spectrum. And the fruity side of the character of this beer is pretty much, it really leans towards the tropical side of things, but you do have that bit of citrusy, zesty character that you want from Citra. But yeah, really solid New England Pale Ale, this one. And that is the end of tasting number 3. So tasting number 4 will be coming up just shortly after this one. Catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, well, this is our 4th and final tasting, so I'm joined by Natasha.
Hi there.
Who was very kind and gave us the beer tour earlier, gave us a tour of the brewery. So all the information I told you when I walked around the brewery, that was Natasha that told me that. She's very enthusiastic and she knows her stuff, it's great.
Right.
So yeah, she wanted to join for a tasting of her choice. So can you introduce the beer you chose?
Oh yes, of course.
Yes.
We call this one the Oil 44. So the style is Gose, traditional German Gose from the Leipzig area. So it's a kettle soured Gose with salt, coriander, and we added some apricots. It's one of the funkiest styles we're serving, and it gives you this very pleasant, salty aftertaste after drinking it. The first thing you notice?
Yeah.
It's the pleasant smell of the apricots which were added. And speaking about the coriander, our brewers told me that you're supposed to feel it, but not too much. It's hidden, it has to be present, but nobody should know what's the spice which is in the beer itself. So we started brewing it last summer, and it was so popular by our customers that then we did another batch, we did another batch, another one, and so here we are.
So is it the same recipe since the last year? It's just, have you tried it with different fruits and things?
Oh yes, we tried it with, help me with that, sweet cherries.
Sweet cherry?
Sweet cherry, which looked fabulous because it was completely pink, but we weren't so happy about the taste.
Okay.
So it was very beautiful to look at, but we prefer the apricots.
Okay, yeah. Well, this is quite cool. Like, this is, Davor actually gave me one of the first sour beers from Slovenia, the Barut Golden Sour, if I remember rightly. So yeah, it's quite cool to see that these modern, Berliner Weisses and Goses and things are coming into Slovenia. This is pretty cool. So yeah, this is awesome. Well, we do a little bit of the aroma and then, yes, yeah. So yeah, aroma-wise, yeah, like you're saying, apricots, you can really, I think you get a bit of the saltiness. You can really smell the salt in this one. But this is, for me, this is really soft and, It's not quite as creamy. This is a bit more authentically German, I think. It's got, the wheat comes out really nice.
Yeah, it's a wheat. It's a sour wheat.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Because quite a lot of the ones you get in Scandinavia are like a bit more, they smell like yogurt. They have that really oaty, creamy sort of vibe to them. Yeah, for me, it's got a little bit of grassiness, a little bit of grassy hop character as well. So, yeah.
Well, a bit of the hop is added after the boiling, but it's really a very small.
Oh yeah.
So it is added, but really as a spice.
It's awesome, yeah. Let's do it then. So,
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This one, for me, just on impact, this one is quite, it's quite wet. It's got not too like kind of cloying, but I feel this one, you get quite a bit of saltiness in the aftertaste with this. And this is the thing again, this one is, if you compare this to the traditional, obviously you've got these Nordic sours, the modern sours these days in Scotland, Vault City, Holy Goat. In Sweden, you've got Duck Pond, all of these kind of guys doing the modern sours. This is definitely like more traditional, just with like a little bit of the kind of craft beer thing to it, rather than being something completely different, if that makes sense. With this one, you can really see the German heritage, I think, but you still have that little bit of modern craft. So I think that's nice. I like it.
We tried doing the traditional goza without any fruit added as well. We loved it, but this one became so popular and we got used of the funky apricot flavor to it. So we have the original version, which was nice, but we prefer this.
Yeah, I can see why you like this. For me, middle of the palate, lovely big little bit of bread crust, I think. You get a little bit of bread crust. Nice sort of smooth, wheaty white bread note, absolutely. I think, toward the kind of middle of your palate, there's a little bit, that's when the saltiness comes out, I think. So the saltiness comes out a wee bit further forward. I get like a little bit of biscuit, biscuit like cookie sort of thing. I get a little bit of that out of this beer, which is interesting. This is good. What is the malt base in this one? Is it only wheat?
No. It's not only wheat, but I don't know what would be the barley which was combined with the wheat. So it's wheat and barley.
Wheat and barley, yeah. But it's nice. The malt base of this one, as I say, what you'd expect from a traditional German goza is that the smooth white bread, the saltiness. But I just get a little bit of biscuit sweetness in the middle of the palate. For me, it just has a little bit of biscuit to it. But it's nice. The hoppy side of things, like edge of your palate, absolutely German noble kind of thing. I think the main thing to say about the hops is it's quite grassy. I find it quite, grassy around the front. It's not really floral or earthy, but quite light and quite grassy. So this goes together really, really nicely. Fruity side and sour side of the beer, I think. It's all the way apricots, absolutely. You get the apricots out this really nicely, but the sharpness of the sour note comes in just on top of that. So you have this like really smooth apricot-y thing, and then the sort of lemony tart citrus at the very, very tip of your tongue. So that sour sharpness comes in and just goes back, wettens up, but then in the aftertaste you get the dryness of the apricot. And it's really nice, yeah. What's your favourite part of this beer? Do you like the sourness, the maltiness?
The smell. For me, to be honest, it's the pleasant smell it gives you and this feeling of summer. I don't know why, but the smell and the feeling of the summer days.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, definitely a very summery beer, this one. I think to round off then, mouthfeel, I would say, generally speaking, we're just talking generally, mid-bodied beer, like right in the middle of the spectrum. For a sour beer, this one's quite, I think it's pushing a little bit heavier than that. This one's got quite a nice sort of thicker oiliness to it, actually. I think this is quite a nice, I always find sour beers are lighter than, they feel a bit lighter to me in the mouthfeel. But this one is quite an oily goza, this one. I think that suits it. It brings out you get a bit of dryness in the aftertaste. You get the oiliness in the beginning, the dryness in the aftertaste.
And actually the alcohol percentage is 5.5, which I guess you wouldn't guess by drinking it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's very pleasant, very hidden.
Exactly, yeah, no, you wouldn't, you could, again, not in the same way as the Pilsner, right enough, but you could easily drink this. This would disappear quite quickly. I think that's fair to say.
It happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. IBUs, I think this is, like 5 to, but probably about 5 IBUs, 10 IBUs, something like that, very low on its bitterness count. You expect that of the Goza though. But yeah, lovely smooth beer, a little bit of saltiness to it, like we said, soft fruity notes, a little bit of dryness in the aftertaste. It's a lovely beer, this. Yeah.
Glad to like it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So guys, Natasha is the one who does the beer tours. Do you want to say a little bit about those?
I'd like to present the thing. The beer was made by Marko Jamnik, our head brewer. It's his recipe, it's the number 44 of the recipe. But then we're having another brewer, Riccardo Cias, an Italian brewer, so it's them creating the beer. And we're just presenting the beer and serving and doing the guided tours every Friday in the afternoon. So if we'll be visiting Ljubljana, and if you want to visit a craft brewery really close by the train station, very welcome. Just contact us and we'll be happy to have you.
Yeah, sure. And I think you said earlier it's like €20, an hour and a half. You taste a lot of different
You
beers.
taste 4 different styles. You have some challenges on your way. You get snacks with it, and all the questions you can ask people with it.
Yeah, no, it's good. So yeah, come and do the beer tours. We'll get to meet Natasha, Katarina, the other guys.
Or other members of the team.
Exactly,
There's
yeah.
6 of us.
Yeah, there's 6 of them here now, yeah. But thanks for joining for this one. So, guys, this was your 4th and final tasting here at Pivovarna, not Pivovara. I get mixed up between the Croatian and the Slovenian. Pivovarna Tektonik in Ljubljana. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. As we always do, we'll go outside, I'll give you my final thoughts, and that'll be that. So yeah, thanks for joining for this one.
Thank you.
Cheers. Alright guys, well, time for us to finish up then here at Pivovarna Tektonik Brewpub in Ljubljana in Slovenia. An awesome first brewpub visit, I have to say. So first off, really cool to get Davor on one of my out and about videos. He's been a great contributor to the channel for many years. So to be able to film a beer tasting with him was just really cool. The guys here at Tektonik were awesome. Natasha gave us a really nice little tour around the brewery, lots of information, and it was really cool that she joined in one of the tastings as well. She really knows her stuff, but the other guys in there, Katarina and the others, were great as well. So yeah, you're going to have a really nice time here at Tektonik should you come and visit. Now, when we went to pay, they wouldn't let us pay for any of our beers. So yeah, really surprised that I wanted to pay for them, but they just insisted, no, you're making your video, you're doing this. You're not allowed to pay for your beers. So that was really cool of them to do that. They didn't need to. The 4 beers that I had, I think that would have come to somewhere in the region of €10. So something like £9 sterling, $11, 120 Swedish kroner for those of you watching in different places. But yeah, you saw the little tap list on the video earlier. You can have a little look at the prices, but you're getting very good beer here at Tektonik for very reasonable prices, and you've got some really awesome people running this brewery. So yeah, very happy with my visit here, and I think this was a really nice way to start off my Slovenian taproom and brewpub visit. So hopefully we'll get a few more during this trip here, but I'm sure I'll be back in Slovenia again at some point very soon. But yeah, this was Pivovarna Tektonik Brewpub here in Ljubljana. Catch you guys on the next one. Check out my social media, check out Tektonik social media, and of course do come and visit the pub here. I do apologise for the light in this last segment, but it is nighttime outside. Can't do much about it. Catch you guys on the next one. Do make sure you come and visit Ljubljana. Na zdravje.